Welcome to today's SeafoodNews.com video, sponsored by the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute.
Good morning. It's Friday, May 10th. We want to talk about the shrimp countervailing duty suit, as we have some news on that this morning. Some of the preliminary numbers from the Department of Commerce are beginning to filter out into the industry. We can report that the expectation is that Thailand will receive a duty level of about 2%, maybe a little bit less. Ecuador might be de minimis, 2% or maybe even 0. India looks like they're going to get a countrywide rate of around 7%. Vietnam and Indonesia will both also get rates in single digits. And the countries that are likely to be most heavily affected are China and Malaysia, which may get significantly higher CVD duty rates. Now, these rates also apply to individual companies within the countries, and some of these companies may have reduced or zero duty depending on how the final calculations come out. The impact of this is that the CVD additional expense is not going to change the dynamic of the U.S. shrimp market. So far this year, buyers have been very cautious in purchasing large quantities of shrimp, both because the price is up about 16% since the first of the year, and also because they fear that heavy purchases now, they might regret if prices fall later, as they're expected to do. One key uncertainty for importers has been whether the countervailing duties are going to be applied retroactively, in which case the Department of Commerce needs to make a finding of critical circumstances. It is looking less likely that this will happen for two reasons. First of all, the American shrimp processors who are filing the suit so far have not tried to allege critical circumstances in the case. And secondly, the critical circumstances have to be alleged against an individual company, not an entire country. Now, critical circumstances can happen when imports are shown to surge just before a countervailing duty or an anti-dumping duty is imposed. However, imports overall, shrimp imports in the U.S. In the first 2 months of this year are down about 10%, and it looks like for the quarter they very well could be down compared to last year and the year before at this time, and therefore it's unlikely that the groups that are proposing or pushing these duties are going to be able to make the case for a retroactive duty. Finally, the dynamic of the shrimp market is that companies do expect they're going to be seeing lower prices later this summer. And because the price is going to come down, it's going to be mitigating the impact of the CVD duties. Instead of adding costs that have to be borne by customers in a market where prices are rising, what the CV duties will do is they'll be absorbed by both parties. They might result in prices declining maybe a little more slowly than they would have otherwise. For those countries that do have significant CVD duties from the U.S., there's not going to be any possibility of the American shrimp processors negotiating some kind of multi-million-dollar payment in response for making the duties go away. The reason is that these countries have other markets. The demand for shrimp in China, even in Europe, the increasing usage of shrimp outside the U.S. and the Middle East, for example, means that the U.S. doesn't have leverage anymore. And when they make their shrimp market less attractive, suppliers in these other countries simply find other markets. I mean, Ecuador has greatly increased its shipments to other markets outside the U.S. So the net result is that the high prices, the shortages, the disruption of the markets caused by these duties are all going to lead to a reduction in shrimp consumption in the U.S. My own expectation is that shrimp consumption in 2012 will fall below the record level of 4.2 pounds per person in 2011, and for 2013 it's likely to fall even further. We could even see U.S. shrimp consumption drop below 4 pounds. There's no need for this type of market disruption, and everybody in the shrimp business, including the Gulf producers, would be making a lot more money if there was a concerted effort to promote the shrimp instead of kind of fighting about imports. In Lexington, Mass., this is John Sackton.
Today's SeafoodNews.com video was brought to you by the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute. Alaska has been protecting wild and sustainable seafood for generations and adheres to the most recognized and internationally accepted set of guidelines written by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. For recipes and additional information, visit wildalaskaflavor.com.